Thank you for tuning in to the Andrew Tate Show, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I am your co-host, Sarah, and I'm here with Tate, of course. We have a great show planned for you today. We will be covering the heartbreaking end to the Knicks season, what to expect for the Denver Nuggets in this offseason, and the sponsorship deal between the Las Vegas Aces and the Las Vegas Tourism Board. Stay tuned for segments 4 and 5 when we will be covering possible UFO in Portugal and dating horror stories. As we get started, I would like to say, as always, to have you please like, follow, and subscribe on whatever platform you are listening or watching this podcast on. Also, we do get a number of questions and comments from viewers that come in during the show. So if you would like your question or comment to be read on air, if you'd like to ensure that, please go to our tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net. You see that next to me, and that will ensure that we see your comment when you type it in. If you use that tips and donations link, it puts your question at the top of the list so that we see it, and it also, again, really helps the show. Again, that link is gsmcpodcast.net. Thank you so much for any support that you give the show. Good morning, Tate. How are you?
Hello, Miss Sarah.
I'm a little croaky, I just realized. I apologize.
Well, for a lot of our new listeners or viewers, they're used to seeing Faith, so they don't really...
I am not Faith. I'm nothing, that's nothing against Faith. I like Faith a lot, but as you can see, I'm not her.
See, okay, everyone. So I almost slipped up and didn't say, hey, that she's not Faith, because we have done 2 episodes since then, Sarah and I together, and we've had some technical difficulties. Let's just say
difficulties.
Just a little bit of technical difficulties. So even though this is kind of the first time you guys get to see Sarah and I have done a couple of shows already, just running into all the fun difficulties of the world of technology.
And we have hosted shows together in the past.
Yes,
we've done audio shows together, but this is our first venture into doing video shows together, hence the technical difficulties.
Yeah, so I used to host the GSMC MMA podcast and women's MMA podcast. From time to time, Sarah would be on that show with me as my co-host.
Yep.
Or moderator, co-host, however you want to phrase that. So today we have Sarah back, and it's going to be an interesting show. What do you have for us, Miss Sarah?
So let's jump right into our first segment, and that is the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks 2023-24 NBA season came to, unfortunately, a heartbreaking end with a decisive Game 7 loss to the Indiana Pacers, concluding their playoff run in the Eastern Conference semifinals. Despite the disappointment, the season showcased significant progress and promise for the future of the franchise. In Game 7, the Knicks were hampered by injuries, including a critical one to star point guard Jalen Brunson, who left the game with a fractured hand in the third quarter. Key players like Julius, Randle, Mitchell Robinson, and Bojan Bogdanovic were already sidelined with season-ending injuries. Despite these setbacks, the Knicks displayed resilience with players like Donte, DiVincenzo, and Alec Burks stepping up. DiVincenzo delivered a standout performance, scoring 39 points, but it was not enough to counter the Pacers' historic shooting night. Josh Hart, who has been an Iron Man for the Knicks, playing through abdominal strain, embodied the team's fighting spirit. His journey to New York, seeking a home and finding acceptance, was a highlight of the season. Hart, along with late season acquisition OG Anunoby, played pivotal roles in transforming the Knicks into contenders. Anunoby's return in Game 7 was brief due to a hamstring injury, highlighting the team's injury struggles. Head coach Tom Thibodeau acknowledged the season's challenges and the team's efforts, emphasizing the foundation they've built. The Knicks finished with a 50-32 record, marking their first 50-season win in 11 years and winning a first-round playoff series for consecutive years, a feat not achieved since the 1999-2000 season. Brunson's evolution into a near superstar was a significant factor as he became an all-star and MVP candidate. The Knicks now face a critical offseason with key decisions looming, particularly regarding the contracts of Anunoby and center Isaiah Hartenstein. Hartenstein, excuse me, both crucial to the team's success. The Knicks hold 2 first-round picks in the upcoming draft, providing opportunities to strengthen their roster. Despite the bitter end, the future appears bright for the Knicks. The team's depth, forged through adversity, and the core of hard-nosed competitive players set a promising path forward. Maintaining health and making strategic offseason moves could position the Knicks as serious contenders in the Eastern Conference in the coming years. So, Tate, what do you think were some of those key factors that led to the Knicks Game 7 heartbreaking loss?
Okay, first
and can we just acknowledge poor Nelson, our GSMC basketball host, who I thought was going to just cry yesterday.
Okay, first I fill everyone in. We do our GSMC production meetings every day. And one of our hosts is the GSMC basketball host, which is Nelson. You should check that show out. Great show, great host.
Absolutely.
But he is a hardcore, I'm not going to necessarily say Knicks fan. He's a hardcore New York fan. That's what I'm going to call him. So, yeah, he was absolutely heartbroken. Now, when I look at this, I'm not a traditional New York apologist or really a New York fan, if I'm being honest. But watching this and seeing how the Knicks lost in Madison Square Garden, how they got beat down at Indiana, man, I actually felt bad for them. And then you start thinking about it and you just look at it as a Knicks fan or a Knicks organization. Do you not look at this and say, what if? If we were healthy, if we had all of our players at full strength, the Knicks would have to feel like we're better than Indiana. We could have beaten Indiana. We could have moved on. We could have contended with the Celtics. This is kind of that year that's like, this is what New York Knicks fans have been, hoping for decades. A real shot at not only making the finals, but a real shot at even winning the championship. I didn't think they could beat the Celtics, but a lot of Knicks fans thought they could. A healthy New York Knicks team, I do think they go past Indiana. And it would be very interesting seeing all those guys, Randle and all those guys healthy, contending against the Celtics.
Do you think, though, that is any season like that, though? Just a series of what ifs, leading up to the final conclusion, or no?
You got to understand, though, the Knicks have been cursed. I feel like the Knicks have been cursed. The Cleveland Browns have been cursed. There's certain teams that, just kind of feel like they've been cursed. And the Knicks have been they've been so close. The Patrick Ewing era where they thought this was going to be the year. There's been so many times where the Knicks have had that shot and have fallen short. And now you look around and you're like, man, what if? If Mitchell Robinson was around, Bogdanovich was around, Julius Randle was around. That's the situation that you start looking at this team and you start wondering. And when you start wondering, you start looking at an organization, a couple of questions kind of come to mind. Number one is they know what the playoffs look like with Robinson and Bogdanovich and Randle not being there. And it looks good. Do they say, hey, we have, especially with Randle. Randle is do we package some of these guys up and maybe upgrade our team by trading off Randle, maybe to add another piece to this organization? Do you package all three of them up for maybe a difference-making player? Or do they say, look at where we're at, and if these guys are healthy, we can contend for the championship? I personally think when you look at it, I would be looking to upgrade this team, because you're not going to get a situation where, you look at the 76ers and catching the 76ers absolutely beat down, not healthy. Looking at the Milwaukee Bucks, health issues and not being around. Another year with them playing together, being healthy. Does the Knicks actually make it further? When you look at Miami, maybe upgrading as well. Staying pat for the Knicks, I think, is an incredibly bad decision. I think they need to, this was their opportunity. I admit that. This was definitely their opportunity to make a run. And unfortunately, they were not able to do that. But this was their opportunity. It didn't work out. But now you cannot stand pat. You know, the 76ers are just too tough of a team to think they're just going to, stand pat. I don't see Brooklyn or the 76ers or Miami all stand pat. So I think the key piece is upgrading by moving Randle. Randle's a piece that I think a lot of teams would really like. And I think you could get something back that could really change this organization. So that would be my take, looking at it and what's that next move. So
I mean, what are your overall thoughts then? You're thinking don't stay pat, figure out some things.
I just
Potential
don't think
for next season. I mean, do you think they can
see? Here's the thing. I think if they stayed healthy, I thought they could contend this year. But that doesn't mean that I think they can contend for a championship next year. They just caught, in my opinion, everything right. And, and then the bottom fell out. As an organization, though, I know everyone's talking about Tom Thibodeau. Should he get an extension? And that's a tough question because I'm looking at this organization and I'm sitting down with Thibodeau and I'm saying, one, you have to change the way you're handling the players, how long you're playing them. It has been an ongoing scenario with him throughout his career of playing players too long. They need to make an adjustment. And I think before we extend Thibodeau, I want that commitment from him that there's going to be a solid effort of using his bench more, resting his players, making sure that if Randle comes back and other players come back, that there's some minute restrictions throughout the year. Might I even say some load management where some of the guys, even though they're younger, maybe aren't playing back-to-backs. Doing things like that because they need to be healthy. They're a deep team. They're a good team. But if they're able to roll into the playoffs but be beat up again, the same thing can happen. You have to figure out a way to have a healthier team when it comes down to the playoffs. Because you do not, you can't have this happen 2 years in a row. I think Tom Thibodeau is the answer and how he manages his team and how he manages his bench throughout the NBA season, which is a long season. So
some off-season changes and then changes in how they're going forward next season.
I think that's the key because they can't stay pat.
All right. Thank you for that. That's all the time we have for this first segment. We're going to take our first break. And when we come back, we will be talking about the Denver Nuggets and gearing up for their offseason and what that looks like. So stay tuned. You are watching the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports, and we will be right back.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna
wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit, I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant, I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. Oh,
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Welcome back to the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports. Before the break, Tate was talking about the Knicks and their offseason and some changes that he sees that could be potentially helpful for their next season. As we go into this second segment, I do want to remind you that if you would like to support the show there's lots of ways that you can support the show, but if you want to support the show by leaving a tip or donation and also get your comments and questions read on air, you can go to gsmcpodcast.net. That will make sure that we see those questions and comments during the live stream, and we will answer those and comment on your question or comment. Again, that is gsmcpodcast.net. All right, so Tate, we're moving on to the Denver Nuggets, who are gearing up for an intriguing 2024 NBA offseason. There are expectations for a repeat performance, always a tricky place to be in, right? So following this strong season with a 56-26 record, the Nuggets are focusing on maintaining their championship caliber roster. Nikola Jokic's MVP season, combined with significant contributions, from young role players like Peyton Watson and Christian Braun, showcases a promising future. Health was a key factor for the Nuggets' success, with Jokic, Aaron Gordon, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope all playing over 70 games. Michael Porter Jr.'s participation in 81 games, despite a history of back issues, was a significant boost. The team managed the minutes of their starters effectively, setting a foundation for sustained performance. Looking ahead, the Nuggets aim to retain most of their roster. However, upgrades at the backup point guard and center positions are necessary, especially with Reggie Jackson aging, and neither Zeke Nnaji nor DeAndre Jordan fitting the bill as reliable backup centers. The franchise could benefit from signing a seasoned ball player like Jonas Valanciunas. I practiced that. Valanciunas, I think that's right.
Don't ask me.
The upcoming draft offers opportunities to strengthen the bench. Potential picks include Weber State guard Dylan Jones and UConn's Cam Spencer. Financially, the Nuggets have limited flexibility under the second apron of the salary cap. So moving Najee's $8.8 million salary could provide room for necessary upgrades. The team's 2 draft picks, which are numbers 28 and 56, are crucial for adding affordable talent and maintaining future cap flexibility. As the Nuggets prepare for this upcoming season, their goal remains the same: capitalize on Jokic's prime years and chase another championship. So what do you think the Denver Nuggets, again, kind of the same question as last time, what do they need to do this offseason to maintain their championship form?
Okay, first off, Sarah, I still can't believe that Denver's not in this thing. That's the weird thing. I think they've been the best team maybe in the NBA all year. And so for me, looking at this and saying, wow, this team that Jokic, or the MVP, 3-time MVP, Jamal Murray, everything that he's done, it's just kind of like they ran into a very unique situation with Minnesota up and coming. They ran through the Lakers like they always do. And I feel like, did Minnesota just give the blueprint on how to beat Denver? Because when you step back and you look at this and you say you're looking at Denver, and I'm going around here and I'm looking at it and I'm saying, I don't see a lot of improvements that Denver needs to make. Yes, they have to go out and get a backup center. Jokic needs to have time to come off the bench. I mean, rest, be able to come back off the bench and then dominate in that fourth quarter. And he's been that guy. I've yet to find anyone that has been able to kind of stop Jokic. In game 7, I kind of felt like it wasn't that anyone stopped Jokic. I felt like rest. He got tired down the stretch, and that's when they were able to kind of take advantage of it. That's where the backup center, I think, is going to be crucial. Getting Jokic those critical minutes where he's able to get off the floor without them giving up a massive lead. That's the key. That's the same problem that I felt like the Lakers has as well. The Lakers, the minute LeBron comes off the bench, they lose any momentum, any lead that they have. That's where I felt like Denver's had a solid bench and have done incredibly well, but in this playoffs against Minnesota, that became a weakness. Being able to making sure that Jokic is on the court at all times. Once he got tired, that's when Minnesota was able to take advantage of him. I'm still surprised that they lost in Denver. That was the key, the losing in Denver. When you look at this series against Minnesota, you just assumed that Denver was going to handle home court. Assume. They lost game 1 in Denver. They lost game 2 in Denver. And then a critical game 7 in Denver. That's something that should never happen. That should never happen. You can't be the defending champion with a 3-time current MVP on your roster and drop 3 games in the playoffs against a younger, let's say, not as deep of a team as, let's say, Minnesota. Not as much experience. When I say depth, not as much experience is a better word of saying that. That should have never happened, but it did. You looked at Minnesota. Minnesota wasn't looking at them as a champion. They were looking at them as another team. Anthony Edwards looked at them as, I'm the best player on the court. And they felt like their defense, their athleticism, they felt like they belonged. And they came out right out the gate, hit Denver in the mouth, turned around. Game 2, did it again. Denver had a chance. I personally thought when the series started, I had Denver as going to win this series easy. But I kind of felt like they came in and hit Denver in the mouth right away. It shook Denver up. And I thought the only thing that saved Denver was the fact that they had that extended time off before game 3. And that's where I thought was kind of key. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. I don't really look at it. There's a lot of moves that you have to make when it comes to Denver. So, it's going to be interesting to see, especially when they're already up against that second apron.
Well, we know that Jokic is going to play an important role. Obviously, from some of the younger players, do you see any of the younger players as being potentially really important for next season?
Well, yeah. I mean, they got those players coming off the bench. They're critical because of the fact that Murray had some health issues. Jokic had a few health issues. You're going to need solid players coming off the bench that's going to allow guys like Murray and Jokic to get that rest. They're going to go. Denver is good enough right now to come back next year, and I would still put them as my favorites to win the championship. Even though they didn't even make it to the Western Conference Finals, I would use Denver as probably my favorites to win. The question is not their core unit. it's bringing in those critical pieces that, especially at the center position. I think that's the key. Can you find someone that can give Jokic the rest he needs? Critical in that at the end of the first half, giving him an extended rest right before going into halftime. Right before, in that third quarter, right before the fourth quarter kicks in, when you're going to need him, he needs his legs, he needs to be fresh. That's when you need to pull him. If you can't, and it's shown throughout the season, they've been able to do it. But this playoffs, that's when they've had the issue. Can they give Jokic the rest? And a lot of those young players are going to be critical. Also, a guy like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, that's one of the people that could easily be a salary cap casualty. Caldwell-Pope has a $15.4 million salary. He's going to opt out. There's a really good chance he opts out. If he opts out with them already up against the second apron, will they be able to match it? If they lose Caldwell-Pope, that's when you start looking at them as they're not as good as they were this year. They need to sign critical players and fill in spots. They can't afford to lose any of their key players. So that's kind of where I look at things with them. And it's going to be incredibly interesting to see. The offseason, first off, Sarah, this has been maybe one of the best seasons ever. To go into a playoffs and have, after the first round, pretty much every major name out. No Steph Curry, no LeBron, no Anthony Davis, no James Harden, no Kawhi Leonard, all those guys, no Giannis, Joel Embiid, they were all gone. And this whole new crop of teams came up. Minnesota, OKC, Denver, New York, Indiana. There's a whole new crop of players and teams that are out there that are going to make a run. And these young teams that are in it, the Minnesotas of the world, yes, they're still in the playoffs, but they're going to get better next year. And that's the key. That's why Denver cannot afford to lose anyone. They need to be able to upgrade, but being up against that second apron makes it really hard for them to do that. So that's the critical thing that you're trying to work on there. So
okay, all right. Well, we can move on then. We'll take our next break. When we come back, we're still going to be talking about basketball, but we're switching to the WNBA and the recent sponsorship deal with the Las Vegas Aces. So stay tuned. You're watching the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports, and we will be right back.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube.
Welcome back to the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports. Before the break, we were talking about the Denver Nuggets and their offseason and any changes that might need to be made before next season. Can they repeat? What is their future looking like? And Tate, we're going to move on, but you have any follow-up or any wrap-up that we didn't cover in that last segment?
Well, no, I mean, the people don't realize sometimes how critical the new salary cap is. Being up against the apron, that's the thing that I think fans of the Denver Nuggets should fear, because no team wants to go over that, because the penalties are just astronomical. And so, and the way it limits a team. So stand up under that. Caldwell Pope, a couple players opting out could be a critical change. So it's just something that you got to consider and think about.
All right. So as I said, we're moving on to the WNBA. The Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, or the LVCVA, that's a mouthful, announced a groundbreaking sponsorship deal for each player on the Las Vegas Aces WNBA team, providing $100,000 to every player with no conditions other than continuing to play basketball. LVCVA's president and CEO surprised the team with the offer, emphasizing the desire for the players to represent Las Vegas and potentially achieve a three-peat championship. While the players expressed gratitude for the sponsorship, the WNBA is reportedly investigating the deal. The LVCVA has structured the deals with the players' agents similarly to college name, image, and likeness deals, leading to concerns for the league. Despite the controversy, it has been a successful week for the Aces, who recently visited the White House to celebrate their championship and won their season opener against the Phoenix Mercury. So, thoughts on this, Tate?
Okay. This one's tough. This one's tough for me, big time. I saw this, and when I first saw this, I was like, this is awesome. This is, the WNBA players don't make a lot of money. Some players make as little as $50,000-$60,000 a year. So for them to get an extra $100,000 is a big deal. And I feel like they deserve it. The game has improved so much. I'm so pro the women getting more money and getting more recognition.
Okay,
But there's another side to that. And what the other side that I was thinking about is the fact that, let's say you're one of the competitors and you're looking around and you're competing against the Las Vegas Aces, and you just saw them kind of circumvent the salary cap in a way. Technically speaking, you're in the locker room with all the players, with the ownership group, and someone that's in the locker room just makes a statement, hey, everyone on the team gets an extra $100,000. Now, if you're a solid role player, or you're a player on another team, and you're making that $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, and you're becoming a free agent, or you're thinking about possibly asking for a trade, or possibly about thinking that you may be dealt, you want to go to the Aces.
I want to go to the Aces.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That means if you're a $70,000 player, there's a big difference between, hey, I'm a $70,000 WNBA player and making an extra $100,000. So you're making $170,000. You've done more than doubled your income.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the reason why I can understand why the WNBA is investigating this. I can understand why a lot of the other teams are upset about this. Now, with that being said, I don't care. No, I don't care. These ladies, they don't make enough money.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, I feel like every player in the entire league deserves an extra $100,000. Think about the money that Caitlin Clark's going to be bringing to the league. I think I get what teams are upset about this. I understand why the WNBA is concerned about this. because you don't want something like this to run amok. And if you're, let's say, if you're the LA Sparks, and all of a sudden you're looking around and you're like, you know what? Hey, we got this new endorsement deal. Everybody's gonna get $200,000. Anyone, as a matter of fact, anyone who signs with us on free agency, they get the extra $200,000 as well. You know,
I mean, you know, from the players' perspective, they're like, yeah.
Oh, it definitely benefits the players. That's the great thing about it.
I can see what you're saying about running amok, but I mean, how far do they have to go before it's so far amok that, I mean, they're still making less than
Well, but it's still, you got to look at it as you're thinking about this. Like, that's why I said I don't care, because I'm happy that the players are getting more money.
Right.
They're getting more recognition. But as an organization, trying to run an organization, and you're looking around and you're like, the most important thing is we have to protect the integrity of the game and the laws and rules that it's regulated by. That is the key. That is the job of the commissioner of the WNBA. So I could see how that would be an issue. The question is, as an organization, if they come back, the big question is, you're the commissioner of the WNBA, Sarah, okay? You are the commissioner of the WNBA.
Don't know how I got that job, but thank you. Okay.
All right. You look around and you're like, man, I do think this is awesome. The players deserve that extra $100,000. But it's wrong, because other teams didn't get that extra $100,000. If you're the commissioner, how do you go to them and say you can't take that $100,000?
No, that would be.
You know what I mean? How do you do that?
Conversations to have.
Yeah, how do you do that as a commissioner? The backlash that would come from saying, "Hey, no, our guys can't get that extra $100,000. It looks bad." Or if you're the commissioner and you say there was nothing wrong with what was done, then you've now opened the door up for everyone who wants to be a part of this, and you know, to kind of cheat and circumvent the system by saying, you know, anyone that wants to sign with Iowa, they get everyone, they want to see Caitlin Clark do well. So anyone that signs with Iowa gets an extra 2 players. All players that's with Iowa, by the end of the year, gets an extra $200,000. Now it opens up so that now players are wanting to figure out a way. How do I get to that other situation where there's more money available? It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, and not every franchise is going to have the same opportunities for these types of sponsorships. So you're just going to get into this cycle of everyone trying to get to one franchise or the other, and then the smaller franchises maybe, or maybe not even the smaller ones, but the ones that don't have the same opportunities are just going to get trampled.
That's
in the
what
process.
I mean. There's no right answer to this one.
No.
There's absolutely no right answer, because of the fact that you're looking at it and both alternatives are bad. That's the situation. If the owner, if the guy from tourism didn't do it in such a public way, cameras were everywhere. If he would have pulled in the aces and said, "Hey, we have this sponsorship opportunity to work with the city of Las Vegas, and we want to sponsor the whole team. It's gonna be, you guys get paid about $100,000 a player. There you go." But it's how he did it.
Doesn't that leave room then for people to say that was sneaky and that's worse?
Well, it's more, this whole thing is more about a more public relations situation. He did it in such a public way. There's no, doing it the other way is the same as Nike coming to Caitlin Clark and saying, "Hey, we have a sponsorship opportunity. We want you to sign with us. We're going to give you $10 million to wear Nike products or Jordan brand products or Adidas or New Balance or whatever it is. That's the difference. You don't have a situation where you the head of Nike walks into the locker room and just says, "All you guys, 100,000 for all you guys.
You get 100,000. You get 100,000."
That's the problem. It's how it was done, and in such a public way where it was obvious that being a member of this team gets you an extra 100,000. If you were on another team, we wouldn't even consider you. Only players who are on this team. Wink, wink. Hey, free agencies come around. You did see last year, our players got $100,000 more than everybody else in the league. We can't confirm this, but there's a good chance that's going to be coming back next year. I know you got a deal with, whatever, insert, the Phoenix Mercury, but Phoenix is only going to pay you 70. We're going to give you the 70, but don't forget about that extra 100,000. That's when it gets that way. That's when you're circumventing the salary cap by doing it that way. That's the concern.
I think it's complicated, and I think we're going to be hearing a lot more about it as it goes along.
Yeah.
So we're going to take another break. That wraps up our sports segments for this episode. When we come back, switching topics to UFOs, maybe.
Okay.
All right. So stay tuned. You're watching the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports, and we will be right back.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows. Available everywhere podcasts are found.
Welcome back to the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports. Before the break, we were talking about the Las Vegas Aces and that $100,000 sponsorship deal. A little more complicated than maybe it looks at first glance. As I mentioned before the break, we are switching gears a little bit. Now, Tate, we both live in Portugal.
Yes, we do.
We didn't really mention that, but you're actually on the same continent as your co-host today, which is, I don't know, is it nice for you, or is it, do you prefer having that Atlantic Ocean between you and your co-host?
It's a little different. I must admit, having someone, it's kind of nice having someone so close. So it is.
Sure. Okay, so we both live in Portugal, and we missed something. Saturday night, we missed a UFO.
Okay, how did that work out?
Did you go outside on Saturday night at all? I can't remember what I did on Saturday.
I can't remember what I did, but I'm sure I did.
It wasn't really a UFO, but let me tell you what it was, okay?
Okay.
So I bring this up. I'll get to that in a minute. Okay, a bright comet fragment illuminated the skies over parts of Spain and Portugal late on Saturday, creating a dazzling display that resembled a scene from a movie. I saw the pictures. It was really pretty.
Okay.
The European Space Agency, ESA, we're so used to NASA, this is ESA, initially thought it was a meteor, but later determined it to be a small piece of comet. The fragment traveled at a speed of 45 kilometers per second before burning up over the Atlantic Ocean. Videos, of course, went viral. They said that because it burned up, the chances of finding any kind of meteorite are very, very low. But videos of the event went viral on social media, showing the object streaking across the sky in vibrant tones of blue and green. Preliminary analysis by the Spanish Color Alto Astronomical Observatory suggested a cometary origin for the fragment. Witnesses described the experience as surreal, with some likening it to daylight and feeling stunned by the spectacle. Now, this isn't your usual comment, I don't think. I bring it up because it's interesting. First of all, we live here. I did not see, I cannot speak for you. Did you see?
No, I did not see any of this whatsoever. No.
Okay. I also bring it up because I know that space is something that you are interested in, at least from conversations that we've had in the past.
Put all my business on the street.
Okay, I apologize for outing you on the space liking. I do apologize.
No, I'm just joking. I'm joking.
I didn't know.
That's hilarious.
Mostly, so I did ask because I did bring it up because I wanted to know if you'd seen it. I did not. You
No,
apparently
did not. I didn't even know that was going on. Okay.
But I thought I would follow this up with a question of what is the most interesting thing that you have seen that maybe cannot be explained in certain, like, have you ever seen what you thought was a UFO? Have you ever seen, recently we've had this, it's not a UFO, but the comet, the pictures look pretty. There was the eclipse that a lot of the Eastern Seaboard saw a few weeks ago. There is, my Facebook feed the last week has been just full of the Northern Lights. Okay. Everywhere from Washington State to Pittsburgh, people are posting pictures of the Northern Lights. So there's been a lot of really interesting phenomena. Have you ever seen anything that made you go,
Well, let's see.
And I just threw this at you, so you have no warning.
All right. Now, anytime you go to the hood, you're going to see some UFO friendly, maybe come from a UFO. So you might have seen some people like that from the hood, maybe. But I know you weren't expecting me to say that.
It's only fair. I threw this at you. You threw that at me.
It was that homeless guy on Flatbush Avenue. I could have sworn came from the Hellbop Comet or something. But no, it's weird. I'm into science. I follow what's going on with SpaceX and NASA and all the different space organizations. I'm a sci-fi fan. But here's a weird thing with me. When they're like, hey, you got to see the eclipse. It's like, okay. It's the Northern Lights. It's like, okay. I don't normally go out of my way to see it. Like if I'm out and I just so happen to be looking up, I'm going to check it out. But there's some people that will go a long way into, trying to see this stuff and making plans for it. And I've never been that guy. I don't know why. I don't understand why, but that's never been my thing. Now, with that being said, the question, you start thinking about, was it a UFO in Portugal and things of that nature? Here's my question to you. Do you believe in aliens?
I believe we cannot be the only beings in existence in the entire vast universe, galaxy, even I can't believe that we're the only ones. Do I sometimes joke that they probably lock their doors as they fly by our planet? Yeah, maybe.
They dropped a couple of them off on Flatbush Avenue. Is that what you're trying to say?
I don't know. See, now, have we ever been visited by aliens? I mean, there's supposed evidence, but
that evidence they were showing.
I would need more convincing, for sure.
I don't know. Was it Mexico, Brazil? I don't know where they were showing the little fake alien and all that stuff. That was E.T.'s cousin.
Don't slander the alien.
I don't know.
They'll sue you for defamation.
Okay. When I was a kid, we grew up. There was a set number of planets that we knew. Now, and I think it was 13?
I thought it was 9.
9
but
or so. Next thing you know, Pluto's no longer a planet, and we got like 100 million, if not 100 billion planets out there now that we didn't even know about when I was a kid growing up. So
I could name all the planets easily now.
I was gonna say what? You can. There's like 100.
No,
like
can you imagine that being on your 5th grade elementary science quiz? Name all 100 million.
Yeah, I don't even know how many planets there are now, but there are millions and millions of planets now. Which, as a kid growing up, there was only a small group. Now, if you look at this, I'm not the conspiracy theory guy, so it's weird saying I don't believe in aliens, but would I be shocked that there's a planet out there that's in the same distance that we are from the sun, in a solar system that's very similar to ours, and they have life on it, it wouldn't surprise me at all. When you think about, there's a couple of universal things. I didn't mean to get all technical in this, but there's a lot of planets that actually have water on it. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, they're finding water on the moon. They're finding water on Mars. They're finding water in a lot of different places. You have to have, man, this is going way too nerdy. You got to be the right distance from the sun. You got to have water. You need oxygen and nitrogen and certain things like that. They call it the Goldilocks zone. And there are literally, when they start looking at planets, there are literally thousands upon thousands of planets that are in their own solar system in that same Goldilocks zone. So, do I think there's something out there? I do believe there could be. That's the most political answer I do believe there could be.
Possibly, maybe, given the right.
Yeah.
I'm just proud of myself because I made your inner science geek come out on air.
Yeah, well, your brother's well informed. That's all.
There's nothing wrong with being.
The brother did his homework a little bit. At least you can tell I paid attention in science class or something. You know, I definitely, let's just say I wasn't cheating off the kid sitting next to me who thought the earth was flat. Let's leave it at that. I wasn't going to look at, I'm not looking at him. I'm not getting any of his test answers. We're going to skip it. We're going to skip that.
So you mentioned that you wouldn't drive or you wouldn't like plan a trip. Like I know a lot of people planned way in advance to go see the full eclipse when it happened a few weeks ago, right?
Okay.
So it was a partial eclipse. The last one that I saw, I was living in California. And do you want to know the only reason that I actually saw it?
Why?
I had a corner cubicle, which made zero sense because I was the newest team member. I should have had like a windowless cubicle, but I had the corner cubicle, so I had windows on two sides of
At GSMC?
No.
Oh, another place. Okay.
It's not about you.
I was going to say, okay, just checking where you're at.
And because I had that window, and it was in the direction that the eclipse was going to happen, everyone came to my cubicle to watch the eclipse.
You had the spot.
I had the spot. Our company provided the glasses. That is the only reason, because I would never remember to buy the glasses. I would never remember.
You know what?
I thought it was kind of cool, but
that's
on my own.
That's the point. It's not that I'm putting down those people that's going out and getting the glasses and going out and doing that stuff. I just don't remember it. That's just the key. It's like, hey, asteroid 7294374 is coming by.
My favorite asteroid.
You know what I mean? Like, that bad boy's supposed to be flying by at 12:35. Well, I'm over there getting my sushi eat on. I'm not gonna be like, oh man, I forgot about it. Every time I just forget about it, I see it again, and it's like, oh, I forgot. That's why I don't go see it. I don't really have any hatred against anyone that goes out and see it. It's just,
or it's 12:35 a.m. and I just sleep through it.
Right.
That's usually what happens to me.
I don't think about that stuff. I mean, like, I don't know why it's not that important to me. But, you're just looking up in the sky and you're like, ooh, it's flying by, okay. Or you need special glasses. It just never spoke to me that I need to make an appointment that's like must see viewing. Has never been on my top of my list. You want me must see viewing? Go to Mardi Gras? I'm in. Going outside to watch a comet? I'm gonna wait.
We don't need special glasses for Mardi Gras.
Oh, you need beads. That's all brother needs.
And there are certain sites at Mardi Gras that could burn your retinas. But
you may see something other than a comet during that time.
I saw some stuff. I'm not going to tell you what it was, but I saw some stuff.
So yeah, I'm not to go out and see the comet guy. That's just
fair enough.
Just not me.
Fair enough.
All right. By the way,
yes.
Answer your question. Answer, what is the craziest thing UFO related that you've ever seen?
Oh, what is it? I haven't seen anything. The coolest thing I saw was one night when I was having a sleepover at a friend's house in elementary school. We were sleeping on the front porch. Gen X.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. It took me a second to register what you were getting at when you said, okay.
We were sleeping on the front porch, and there was a meteor shower. Our little 10-year-old selves thought that was the coolest thing we'd ever seen, and it was very cool. But again, do I ever know when there's a meteor shower and go try to find a dark field to stare up at the stars? Not usually. I just don't plan ahead like that.
And it's kind of, there's certain things that people are just like drawn to or they're not drawn to. It's kind of like seeing these kind of different events. With Faith being on the show talking about Groundhog's Day and seeing Pashatani Field, like thousands of people show up to see a groundhog
in a top hat.
To pretend to see a shadow. That kind of stuff. It's like, nope, I'm gonna pass on that one. No, I just not my thing.
What would you travel for before we wrap it up? What would you travel for?
That's easy. Mardi Gras, Carnival, Michigan, Ohio State,
okay.
The Super Bowl, Texas, Oklahoma game.
Okay.
The Olympics in Paris.
Ooh. Right. Well, on that note, we're going to take our final break of the podcast. Our last segment will be dating horror stories. So stay tuned. You're watching the GSMC. Nope, you're watching the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports, and we will be right back. Welcome back to the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports, and our final segment of this episode, we're going to dating horror stories. So this is fun for me, Tate, because you're usually doing these with Faith, and so this is a first experience for me to get to talk about some kind of crazy stories with you. Are you ready to hear about this awkward date?
Yes, let's go.
Yeah, okay. So it starts out with him picking the restaurant and time for dinner. I looked it up, and I'm reading this in the first person because that's how it's written. This isn't me. I just want to put that out there. Okay. That was probably obvious, but I'm putting that out there anyway. I looked it up, and it was a cute wine bar, so I was fine with it. I got there like 10 minutes late because I didn't want to be the first one there, but I was. So I got a table. The place was really small, and the owner talks to everyone. I waited for like 45 more minutes for this guy to show up to the date as planned. The owner had given me 2 glasses of wine for free for obvious reasons. I was about to leave thinking, this is embarrassing, when I saw him walk through the door. He came over and was super apologetic, so I sat back down against my better judgment. Our waitress brings out menus, and I hear him make a weird noise. So I ask if he's okay, and he said, this place is pretty expensive. Again, He picked it out. So even though I'm super hungry, I said, okay, well, maybe we can just get some appetizers or something to share. He agrees. He decides on calamari. I tell him I have celiac disease and won't be able to eat it, but if that's what he wants, that's fine. Go for it. I ordered cauliflower bites and more wine. As our food is being prepared, he asks me if I know anything about philosophy, and I tell him I studied a bit in college. And he said, I pose a philosophical question. If it wasn't taboo, would you have sex with one of your brothers?
Whoa.
We went from calamari.
Okay, you got my attention here now.
Now, I'm like 4 glasses of wine deep. So I ask him to repeat the question. So he does. And I start laughing and say no. And he asks, but are you thinking in the traditional manner because society tells you it's wrong? I'm so uncomfortable at this point. I say, I feel like there are so many reasons not to have sex with siblings beyond societal expectations. Like genetically, your kids could be messed up. So it's just not a good look in general. And I don't find my brothers attractive because they're my brothers. Do you want to have sex with your sister? And I swear to God, this grown ASS man said, my sister is really good looking. And genetically, our kids wouldn't have that many issues. I looked it up. So I just didn't say anything until our food came because
I want those cauliflower bites. I want to get my party cauliflower bites in before I bounce out.
And because what do you follow that up with? So the appetizers get there. He eats all of his and most of mine. And the check comes and he asks to split it. I just throw my card in, wanting to run away so fast. The waitress comes back and tells us his card has been declined. I look at him.
Maybe you should have said yes to brother.
I look at her and she has this look of, dear God, I am so sorry on her face. So I paid for everything. It was $75 total for 2 appetizers and some wine.
Depending on what restaurant you go to.
I know, but I mean, okay, she didn't say anything about
And you don't, and think about it. She's 4 glasses deep into it.
Well,
That could be $100 on itself.
first 2 were free.
Oh, they were?
The owner gave her 2 while she was waiting for him. So anyway, as we're walking out, he asks if I want to do this again. And I said, God, no, never. And the sweet owner and sweet waitress called me back saying something was wrong with my payment. I go back and false Romeo leaves. The owner and the waitress had overheard the entire incest conversation, and the owner gave me free dessert and a bottle of wine. I don't think she needs more wine.
Shot of tequila.
It was a really nice ending to a horrific date. They also didn't want him to follow me home, so I ate gluten-free chocolate cake and drank wine, and we made fun of him for like an hour.
Ooh, see, okay. There's certain things you shouldn't say during a date.
A first date.
Okay. Hey, my sister hot. That's not one of them that should be on there. And would you sleep with one of your brothers unless you mean, would you sleep with a brother? And even that one don't work. You know what I'm saying?
Why is this your first go-to? Is this some sort of litmus test that this man has?
No. What he's trying to do poorly is he came up with the ultimate icebreaker. Listen, when you say, hey, would you sleep with your brother? I think at that point, being nervous about the date is over. You are no longer thinking about oh man, is he gonna like me? It's kind of like, oh, what did he just say? Oh, you know what I mean?
Do you think he's trying to judge the level of how high you let your freak flag fly? Is that just what he's trying to start gauging?
No, I don't know. It's a tactic, I think, that he was just trying to kind of break the ice and kind of something, maybe. But the fact is, even if you threw something crazy out there, I'm just throwing crazy questions out there. When you follow up with, did the research, it won't be that bad. I've been researching this for the last 6 months because my sister is hot. That's the problem.
I have a new theory.
Okay, let's go.
He really is attracted to his sister. Maybe they are one of those couples that, you hear about them. Maybe this is just his way. He's trying to date, to find someone else. No, it doesn't make sense because why is he bringing it up?
Yeah, no. I mean, I hope he's not peeping out his sister. That's kind of...
I thought you were about to say, I hope he's not cheating on his sister.
Well, if they are in a committed relationship, oh, hell no. I don't even know how you get to that level that you're peeping out your sister. I mean, there's certain things, don't even imply that. As a dude, there's certain things you just don't imply. Hey, my sister's hot.
I'm not even saying that as a woman. I do think my brother's hot. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I can honestly say, No, I've never even commented on my brother's attractiveness or lack thereof. He's my brother.
Yeah, you don't even. For me, I have a sister. It doesn't even cross your mind that way, and it's just kind of, that's just something that just you don't even think that way. As someone, my sister, some of her friends used to like me. And she was always just grossed out by the fact that they thought I was cute, let alone, crossing those lines. I say no to going on a second date. Absolutely. Secondly, he picked a spot. It was too expensive for him. His card bounced and she had to pay for it all. And the fact that you were so creepy that people tried to rescue you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That is brutal. That is absolutely brutal. I'm saying, I'm out. I'm out on this one altogether.
So let's give him some sort of benefit of the doubt just for the sake of the conversation. Because in reality, I'm not giving him benefit of the doubt.
No, I'm not doing anything with this dude.
Let's just say this was something that he thought was a good icebreaker, as you said. What is your go-to like icebreaker conversation? Let's try to break through that initial awkwardness. Do you have one, or do you just see where the conversation takes you?
It sure as heck isn't my sister's hot. What's next? Here's my backup one, Mama.
I've met your mother. Be nice.
You know what I mean? These are not things that go as your backup. That's all I'm just saying. My whole thing is questions are good. That's the cool thing. Talking, asking questions, it kind of keeps you engaged, but not those questions. Not those questions, It'd be better off saying, hey, you got a sister? Is she hot? That's another one. Doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
And questions are good, you're right. But what is it in this guy's thinking process that makes him jump over from do you have siblings to where did you grow up to I don't even know what's your favorite sport to do you think your brother's hot?
Okay, I'm thinking I'm gonna give my man the benefit of the doubt.
I thought we agreed not to.
I'm gonna try to give my man the benefit of the doubt. I'm just gonna say he was nervous. He was trying to think of something and he just blurted out anything that came to mind.
But he doubled down.
Right. Well, that's anyone. Once you go down that windy road and there's no reverse, he's like, you know what? I kind of researched it. It's not really. I'm hoping he didn't do the research on his sister. You get where I'm coming from?
Yeah. I mean,
but there's some creepy dudes out there. When we're doing this, and you see some of these stories of some of these guys, I don't understand when you look at some of the things that some of these guys are doing. There was one, the guy took a girl to an expensive restaurant, but then took her in the back of the restaurant at the dumpster to get the food. Things like that. As a woman, is that the point when you're like, you know what? I'm done with men. I'm dating women from this point on. Is that the turning point right there?
It could be.
Because when I look at some of these guys and I look at some of the things they toss out there, it's like, nope. That's my last date with a dude at that point.
My weirdest one, and it's nowhere near this.
I'm like, you got something close to that?
No. I had a blind date. It was lunch. It was a lunch date. He picked me up from work and we went to lunch. This was when I lived in Texas. And it was fine. I mean, I don't think it would have gone anywhere. I didn't find him that interesting, but it was fine. He seemed nice until he said, I think he was newly divorced. If not divorced, he had just broken up with a girlfriend. He said, my mom told me I should just have sex with as many women as possible. Like, okay. I mean, we're not going to, but you think like making it your mom's suggestion is going to make me feel more comfortable? Like it's nowhere near this conversation. And I still thought red flag and we never went out again.
Okay, here's one of the red flags, and I know a lot of girls are like pro this question. I think, girls, that is the ultimate, you are done in my book. You go on a date with someone, you sit down, and they're like, where's this going? Do you see me as someone you can marry? And it's like, no, fool, I haven't even got my appetizer yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You gotta at least wait to the dessert course or something. If you lead out with that, you know what?
I can agree with that.
You're out.
I've never asked that question.
I've had people at the start. Okay, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. Am I like someone you'd want to marry? The answer is always no. The fact of the matter is, because someone asked me that question, we might as well just go ahead and part ways. We don't have to go to dinner. We don't have to do the movies or anything else. You go your way, I go my way, because you are automatically in friend zone. Finding out if someone you're gonna marry, that's like, you gotta marinate the steaks. You know what I mean? You gotta get some seasoning going first. No, that's way too early.
And it's not a fair question, because you can meet someone and initially be like, you're okay. And then as a friendship develops, maybe things change and you do see them as someone you could potentially marry. But
absolutely, there's a lot of times
determine that over appetizers.
Right. That's my thing. A lot of times you'll meet a girl and be like, oh, she is awesome. And then 6 months from now, you're like, I can't stand this woman. So asking that on the first date or the first 5 minutes or 10 minutes of the date or half an hour is absolutely crazy. And that's my rule of just saying, nope. My answer is flat out, when in doubt, throw her butt out. That is my approach. It has served me well. No, I am not. If that was a question that is brought up early on in a relationship, I gotta run.
It's a definite red flag. I mean, I agree.
So
we need some green flags now. I think that's an okay place to when in doubt, throw her butt out. On that note, thank you for tuning in to the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show and leave us a positive review. It really does help. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok for more content and updates. Thank you once again, and have a wonderful day.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to